I'm Will Hedrick.
And I'm Jordan Chapper.
And this is Dog Ears and Timestamps, the book club podcast. With special guest again, Caitlin Edge-Brashear.
Hello.
Hyphenated?
It's
No, double middle name. Sorry, I remember
Double
from
middle
last
name.
week.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah, what'd y'all think this week? When did you read?
I read like 2 days ago.
So this is a question that Jordan had, and I guess you were literally about to ask it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to keep re-renting the book from the library?
Well, I have it for 3 weeks, so...
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, dang it. I forgot to make my joke. I was going to say thank you for deciding to bring me back.
Wow.
Because that's the book
I'm
title.
kind of glad
But
that
I didn't.
you didn't.
I'm not. That would have been dope. Will, can you go back and do it?
Roll it back. Let me do it again.
Just cut that up.
Right. I'll just shoddily insert it into an earlier part.
I like it.
Oh, dude, especially all the fun stories we talked about beforehand. So just slip those in there, like in the middle. Instead of
just
like
really poorly
instead
in the
of
middle of sentences.
Instead of commercials, just put those in there. We'll get people used to it until they have commercials.
Wait, this is strange.
Okay, so you read 2 days ago. How did you like it?
I liked it.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting. What did y'all think?
I thought it was a little bit more like since I heard it in a girl's voice, it felt completely different as far as like literal, like the voice of the author felt completely different. I don't know if it felt like different writing or different to you guys at all when it was in different characters, but
it did to me.
To me, it was literally a different person, so it was kind of hard to think of anything other than like, oh, this is Layla, like, and then she was awfully like she was super wishy-washy. I guess I see why she went well with
She's
what's
crazy.
her face. Yeah, they're both
she's
crazy.
An absolute insane
She's
person.
clearly crazy. Finn, I'm now on the fence about as to whether or not he's crazy, but Layla is kind of bonkers.
I think that,
It's crazy.
and I was going to go ahead and
what
say
did
it,
you
but
think?
I think that she's so crazy, in fact, that she's two people.
Okay, so I've thought about that too, and then I've thought that there's a link between her and Ellen, and there's like an actual for real reason why they can't exist in the same space anymore, because there's some kind
you're
of
still going paranormal.
supernatural connection there.
That would be super interesting.
I want that.
I would be into
autism.
that.
So that's why, because they hadn't seen each other for 2 years prior to
Her disappearing.
with Finn, and apparently their dad, when they were growing up, had to keep them separated because they couldn't. He couldn't handle them together.
Right.
So I think there's something. I'm still thinking like supernatural. There's some kind of
Maybe so.
plot twist.
Yeah, because she's like Ellen's like the opposite of Layla, like in every way, but yet they both attract the same guy. I guess opposites attract us sometimes, so how weird would that be, though?
But how can they both be opposite of Finn? It's opposite because they're attracted to Finn.
No, that's what I'm saying, but they're both opposites of each other, and Finn dated both of them and fallen
But
in
that's
love
not
with them.
opposite attract means.
No, I know, I'm just thinking that, like...
I am attracted to people who are the opposite of my partner.
Yeah, maybe...
That just means you get a new partner.
Well, you know what I mean? Some people are attracted to
Right.
who they're exactly alike with, and then some people are attracted to their opposite. That's kind of more what I meant. Sorry, I skipped a few steps before I got to my conclusion. I skipped some steps, sorry.
So something that made me giggle very early on was her discussion of, the process that Layla apparently went through to purchase the Russian dolls, because Jordy totally called it. You said last week that she probably had like hundreds of dolls lying around because she was buying full sets.
Tearing them open. Yeah, I re-listened to that part today.
I thought that was really funny. It was like, oh, yes, that was in fact how she was purchasing her.
Getting the whole set. Can't just get the parts.
No.
Oh, and she went so far as to talk about performing a cesarean.
Yeah, because she's a crazy person.
Crazy.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to have... Well, okay, so I think...
When did you read, Will?
I read
Let's take it back.
some at work at some point, and then I read mostly literally before y'all showed up. Because I was going to read last night after E3, but I ended up just being too drunk. So I just...
So it's freshest in your mind.
It is. It's
Well,
immediately here. I read like 100 pages today.
Yeah, I listened to a bunch today, but I did fall asleep and take a nap, so you know how that it kind of messes me up sometimes. But
It's the perpetual plight of Jordan.
Yeah, but I set up an AC unit also while I was
Asleep? Wow.
but right before that, while I was listening. So yeah, I got like the last 30 minutes of listening like right before coming here too.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Okay.
But okay,
That's
so
good.
go on, Will. What were you trying to say before I made you tell it?
But so we know Layla to have been crazy, at least having exhibited being crazy since her mother died, because then she was, pretending to be their mother and talking to herself as if she was talking to her mother. Whatever. So it's like,
yeah.
and they told us that in the first section, which I then realized when I was editing last week's episode that we totally neglected to talk about that. Because, we were like, maybe Layla's crazy.
That's just
we'll
a
find
general
out. Well, we did find out. We just totally forgot.
We were excited.
That's just a general coping mechanism for
Right,
kids.
to just
Well,
pretend
that's-
you're two people,
Well, so last week, maybe I didn't think about it being that significant because I didn't really think of her being crazy. When
I
she
didn't
was
think
doing
of her
that.
crazy
I
either.
thought
I
of
kind
it
of
like
thought it
a
was coping, honestly.
mechanism, like
Now it
Also,
sounds
yeah,
now
I
it
mean-
sounds crazy.
now it seems like she's
Right,
Yeah.
in the light of finding out that she's crazy.
And how in the world do you see that, especially in your own kid, where they already have this kind of like shining glow to them? Like even if they're bad, they kind of have like a can do no wrong sort of like. Not my kid. My kid wouldn't have been the one to do that. I mean, I would believe somebody if they said like my kid did it, and then I'd probably take my kid over to the side and be like, "What happened?" And then I'd have to like I would make a merging of the two. Like
Yeah,
I definitely wouldn't. I don't know.
I don't know.
Sorry, I don't know why I brought that.
No, it's good. Sorry.
I think that, and then I also, my mom wanted to talk to me about it before, or once I had read it, and so I called her earlier, and she brought up something that I hadn't even considered, or she said maybe there's a chance that Layla is also a mixed wife, the people across the
I was
street.
going to bring that up. Yeah.
Because suddenly we're mentioning that couple like 2 or 3 times. And, that seems to, is, I guess a relatively common thing in most storytelling. But it's definitely something that happens in this book where we mention a couple of things or something a couple of times right at the end before we then reveal that it's a thing,
Right.
So I think that's, at the very least, we're going to see them again for some reason.
That's the whole flipping back and looking at details again things. Because at the time when they first introduced the neighbors, we didn't really even, I don't think we even mentioned the fact that the Finn and Ellen had neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it so unimportant.
It was so unimportant, but
it was
now
just like giving them something to do on the walk to town.
Yeah. I was totally that was gonna be one of my predictions for this episode was that Layla is in fact Mick's wife.
Because and that's how she's been keeping tabs on everybody.
Because she can see and how she's able to so quickly put those crazy dolls on the wall.
Right. And
then
just jet away and not be found anywhere.
And nobody's seen her before. And they mentioned that she's younger. In the first part, they mentioned that she was a younger woman, which is why Ellen was attempting to reach out.
Right. And I think that didn't Mick and Fiona, what was her name? Something like that. It's an F name. Didn't she... they moved in after...
This is it. No, this is it. Y'all are nailing it. I didn't see it. And then you put it there, and I was just like, y'all just wrote the book. I'm done. I don't even need to finish it. This is it.
But I think they also moved in after Finn and Ellen had moved in, so they would have missed all the initial searching done for Layla and the news article about it or whatever. So
the husband would be unaware.
He would have been like, "Oh, a girl with red hair that's about the age of my wife that she refuses to go outside."
And she talks about having suffered, and the neighbor's wife clearly is suffering. Mm-hmm. And
because they had a lost child, their kid died. Oh yeah, that's right. They're 2 kids
in the car wreck.
So she split personality too,
No,
I think it's maybe. I don't think it could be both.
No,
I think
she's a witch.
She seems like
she's a witch.
She seems super into Finn still.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
She is
in love with Finn,
but
in
only because of the letter. Well, no, because she goes back to the cottage just to see it one last time because she's going to give up. She's he's with Ellen. That's great. I'm going to just go look at the college one last time and then leave. And then she sees that the flowers are there.
That whole I'll let him go. That was
She tried to do that several times.
Yeah.
Evidently in her dialogue with Ellen, but then she sees like the flowers having been kept by their neighbor, not but she thinks it was Finn. And she's like, oh my God, he's like keeping the house together, like he is still like holding on or whatever. So then she goes in, finds the letter, and then she's like, that's what like does it, and that like was what snaps her. Like in that moment, she then becomes crazy because then I think in that moment she says, and then like the voice came back or something like that.
She did talk about that. I think the voice made her put the cottage neighbor, was his name Thomas?
Thomas, yes.
Into the hospital. I think that she disappeared him.
That would be an interesting reveal.
Because she went crazy and she realized that it was him that was keeping up with the cottage, and that made her mad that it wasn't Finn, and so she just took out her frustration and she disappeared.
Maybe so.
And then that would make it so that he's no longer meddling in what she's attempting to do, because he already did that once, and
he definitely recognized her. So.
So that's a little nugget.
You're good.
There's several possibilities and paths that seem to make sense so far.
Which is kind of cool. So I feel like with this part of the book, it's going a little more exciting because there are a couple more paths that we can go down with the various plot points.
Whereas last time it was just like, I just did not know. I had no idea what could possibly been it.
A lot of build up with no action.
Right.
We talked a lot about like Harry too, like, and them having the affair. Harry, right? And them all having like the affair. Like, how do we feel about that now?
Layla and Harry. I'm still not ruling it out.
Yeah, it could still be a thing. Like maybe that was the person that she slept with when she went to London, but it seems like she would have mentioned that because they even let Finn. Yeah, in her narrative, it seems like she would have like said like, even though when I did go to London and I slept with Harry or whatever, and they even have Finn like think about it. He's like, maybe he was the one that she slept with when he went to London. So then to the next chapter, have her say it would have been, it would have made sense. I think.
So since she's crazy, like in her retelling of what happened, like at the
in France.
Yeah, at the train, not at the stop,
There's a service station.
The service station, thank you, yeah. Do you think it went exactly like she said it went down? Because she said, like, Finn went crazy, he left, and then I got scared and ran away.
I think so, because whenever she recounts that part, she's still sane. Like, she hadn't gone to the snap yet, in my opinion.
And she goes, like, into witness protection. I don't, like, how did she disappear?
It makes it seem like she just ran off and then, like, just puttered around Europe for a little bit while she tried to, like, figure it out.
You think Reed could have done that? Just, like, started over?
He basically does that. I mean, except for, pretending to not be him. There. He doesn't do that part, but he, does just roam around the world.
I feel like...
I guess you could, like, disappear for a while and not really have to let anybody know your name, but...
Yeah.
And you could say you're somebody else.
I think that something more happened at the
rest stop.
The rest stop. I think that
I think so
she's
too.
Crazy, and she kind of made him black out or something, so he doesn't remember any of it.
Yeah.
So we've been led to believe
because we still don't know like how she disengages from
him.
Because he's like holding her and shaking her, right? And then he blacks out, so we don't know what happens from his point of view. And then all she says is, "I ran away."
Yeah. So we don't know what.
I wish we could have like. I wish we had like the third party truck. Like we could just go like omnipotently to Hidden or whatever. Like the truck that was there,
that was
and have them there. Watch and then see if they were a kidnapper or if something happened. Because like,
maybe we will.
Yeah, that would be nice. Because as of right now, it's like. Because having gone through like that car wreck, like I thought something happened that completely when we watched the dash cam video, it didn't look like it happened. The adrenaline and like me putting everything together made me think a story that was like a lot different. Maybe I have a split personality, but like,
is Alex not real?
I am also Alex, but. That would be.
Have we ever seen Alex and Jordan in the same room together? Because we haven't seen Ellen and Layla in the same room, and I think there's a reason for that. That
last time that we were in Portland and we were all at the house, y'all did seem to come and leave the room at different times. So maybe so.
He goes in my chair.
So he would leave,
and y'all had that little weird hallway between the restroom and his room, so it would be easy to kind of bamboozle people.
Oh man, what a devil life I could have led.
Or could be leaving. We don't know.
Well, that's what
we're finding you out right now.
That's funny. Yeah, so I liked Peggy. I thought she was really good. I was really worried at one point. I was worried that someone was going to kill her.
Yeah, because I swear right at the end he was saying something like, "I regret what happened to Peggy," and I was like, "Wait, what? Did I miss
Peggy
what
is
happened
just
to Peggy?"
gone. Because he goes back to the house, Ellen is not there, and Peggy are also not there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Ellen presumably has Peggy in her car because her car wasn't there either.
Well, she better, because if Peggy's just out on her own.
No, what if she's too old? She can't be out in the sun for too long.
That's probably true. I feel like she's got long hair.
I hesitated.
So
I was going to say the sun, but it's probably not as hot there as it is here.
Is it not hot over there?
Not as hot as here.
It's more mild.
Considerably further north.
Really?
Yeah. So she would probably be fine. I don't know, but I was worried earlier on that Finn was going to do something to her. But so I think there's some... I'm still going back to the whole supernatural thing. I don't think she's a ghost anymore, but I think she's able to, control Finn's thoughts. Because all of a sudden he started having these... the nightmare that he had about... Or the vision...
Oh, yeah.
That he had about... Or several times.
Yeah, because several times he was
With
sort
Ellen.
of not
Murdering
fantasizing, but saying, I could do this.
But picturing it so well.
One time was a dream, and one time he did fantasize
so
it, right? Didn't he daydream it too?
He was hugging her, and then was physically squeezing her, and then so there was that. There was the time that he was sleeping, and he dreamt about pushing her off a cliff.
And she pulled him down with her in the dream. And that's
kind of all those things and how vivid those kind of felt still made me think I bet Caitlin doesn't like Finn still. But I guess now that you kind of think it could be
I don't think
her.
I don't like Finn still.
Earlier you were saying you were kind of giving him a little bit of throwing him a little
I think I'm throwing him a tiny bone because I still think he's dumb, which
he's still dumb.
We trashed him pretty hard last time, so I still think that he's really dumb. But I do think that maybe some of his outbursts that he's had over the years were not something he did have control over. So I'm sticking with my theory.
Yeah, because if you think Layla has some witch thing going on or whatever. She could have induced the rage whenever he beat the shit out of Harry because Harry was confronting him about Layla. And then
the high school, the first time that he experienced that was in high school. That's a little
that's
wishy,
completely outside of her range.
But it's not.
Every girlfriend he's ever had has been.
Well, what if Siobhan is Layla?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
She's 3 people.
I'm telling you.
What color hair does Siobhan have?
I imagine she had black hair.
In my head,
she's Irish,
red
isn't she?
Yeah, the Siobhan I knew had red hair, so she definitely is
all
just
Siobhans
that
have
lady.
red hair.
No, Irish people. She's Irish.
Well, there are, a lot of red-haired people from Ireland, but there are a lot of people with all colors of hair in Ireland.
And you think it's the one brunette Irish?
Not the one brunette. It's not a 99% ginger right over there.
I don't know.
Just because you two
we're the authority
are of a ginger persuasion does not mean that everybody in Ireland is suddenly.
Well, first of all, a lot of people with red hair will not accept that I also have red hair, so I don't fully fit in the red hair camp.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think that Siobhan and Layla are the same person, and I think
certainly could be. At that time, though, Layla would be so young. Well, I guess because Ellen's older.
A witch.
Yeah,
she's
a witch. Yeah, I guess she's a witch.
Okay, and I don't mean witch because I don't think she's actually a witch, but some kind of supernatural being.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that now.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens.
I think that is really interesting. I would be really into that.
Right?
That's just gonna blow my mind if it just goes supernatural because it doesn't feel like it yet.
It'd be such a left turn.
I see all the little webs that you're drawing, and I love it. I want it to be true because that would be amazing.
For me, at this point, because I've just convinced myself so much, It's not so much a left turn as it's a slightly.
Oh no, it doesn't sound like a left turn. It
curve.
sounds like you connected everything. Yeah, it sounds perfect.
Well, I guess not story-wise. The left turn is not what I mean. I just mean that like.
That's not what's been presented.
Yeah, the book is by all means not supernatural.
It doesn't feel like it
until
yet,
the point that it is. Yeah.
Right. If it even goes down that path, because it could very well not do that.
Right.
I just keep thinking about.
What if he wakes up and this is all just a dream? It's just like St. Elmo's Fire.
Boo. I would rip it up if I have to buy the library book.
Yeah, Caitlin won't be here for the last episode. Just like do it.
She'll be on the run from the library. I tore up the book and I didn't buy it, so no, I'm on the lam. Sorry, guys.
I would say, if they tried to come after me, I would say, do you know who my dad is?
Do you even know?
And they would say, this is not in San Patricio County, so you have no jurisdiction here.
Your father has no power here.
Yeah, that's probably what would happen.
Nice.
So I will return the book and won't rip it up, but I will.
Were there a bunch of them at the library, or just the one?
I think there was just the one copy.
Okay.
So I should really return it.
Yeah.
No, I mean...
They're relying on that copy.
Oh, yeah, you should return it. Yeah.
I will.
I'll
return it.
What do y'all think's going to happen in this last little section? Like, for me, as far as, like, in the field of, like, all the chapters, I feel like we have this much left. And I know nobody has a visual because they're listening, but it's like, I feel like we have 20% left as far as chapters go.
Or 3 inches, apparently.
3 inches, yeah.
Let me look at the page count and see. Part 3... Part 3 is about 55 pages.
Oh, it's even shorter than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then we've got an epilogue that's 3 pages.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is going to wrap up pretty quickly, which, I mean, you know, like we said, it ends on Ellen, Layla, and Peggy being gone from the house. So the event is happening. We're in the middle of the event.
I thought you were saying that's how the book ends. And I said, no, you can't tell us how
they
it ends.
just leave. The most anticlimactic thing ever.
Can we just have Caitlin read the last 50 pages real quick right now to us? And then we'll talk about the end.
Right now?
No, that'll be cool. I feel like we're right at the climax, and like this is the perfect time to like. Yeah. I mean, that's why they split it into 3 parts so that you could digest it this way.
Yes.
Yeah,
I assume so.
Structured, you know, with the idea that this is how you would, you know,
so
intake
this
it.
We correctly called the fact that, well, we had several ideas, but one of them was that this middle portion would be a back and forth between Finn and Layla. So it would be finally, and I think that's probably what makes it a little bit more interesting is that we're getting more than one point of view, which we didn't have before. So now we know stuff that Layla is telling us that Finn doesn't know. And I'm pretty sure Layla knows everything that's going on with Finn just based on the way she talks about it.
Right.
But us and Layla, we know what's going on. So now it's just Finn and the rest of and Peggy and Ellen that are in the dark about it. But so that's kind of cool. I like that there's been that shift in this part. So we'll see what the third part is like.
I wonder if all the Layla chapters are her monologuing to somebody or a letter like Finn had left, and that was his past chapters in the previous book. Because the whole time, those Layla sections seem to be from the present, because she says, you know, things like, and then I did this, and back then I was feeling the blah, 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 blah. And
she's reacting directly to things that Finn did in the previous chapter with some of her stuff.
Right, yeah. So I wonder if that's her monologuing to someone. Like, she's got herself tied up in a chair because she is Ellen. I still say that. And she's just like telling herself, this is what I did, blah, 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 blah. Look at how smart I am.
Well, and she talks, the way she talks about Ellen, that I think Ellen is also magic. I think that...
It's the parallel, which is...
They could be if they're the same person, but that wouldn't really be... that doesn't make sense with them both existing as children for them to be the same person. I don't know.
But we don't know anybody from there. And
we just know what they've told us.
And they don't want to go back either. Like, there was a small bit where Finn says, maybe we should go to Lewis for holiday. And Ellen has said, that's the literal last place I will ever go.
Bring me back to what? I'm just kidding.
Why did they have to be brought back to Lewis for the ritual to happen to cure them of their insanity?
Maybe there aren't enough pages for my ideal ending, because that seems like a lot. So we got a lot more Ruby in this part than we did. But more than I expected. I thought she was going to be kind of a minor character, but he winds up confiding a lot in Ruby.
Yeah, she ends up being pretty critical, at least for Finn to have time to think and like to figure things out.
Yeah, bounce stuff.
Because he's not very good at doing that on his own.
Because he's dumb.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he doesn't talk to Ellen about any of it.
He's dumb, but makes a lot of money, and apparently has like 3 chicks that are crazy about him.
So Ellen knows stuff too, and she's not sharing it with him, and she knows stuff about Layla.
Yeah, so I think that if I was presenting this case at court, there's like 3, and I'll probably change that number as I go, things that most support the idea that she is a skits. And there's one part where Layla says, but Ellen has secrets too. And then there's another part where she says, and I made a deal with Ellen, like if you can take care of Finn, then you can have him and I'll leave.
Right.
And then at the very end, the last time that we hear from Layla, she talks about how she had fought with Ellen, and like I can't remember exactly what it says. I literally just read it like an hour ago. But the way that she says it makes it seem like the whole thing happened in her head, and that Ellen was like, what it was that as she was wrapping things up in that paragraph or whatever, she said something, but Ellen is really taking over right now, so something. So I think those 3 things more than anything show that
point to her being schizophrenic.
Yeah, that would be what kind of really sold it to me.
So do you think that she's also the neighbor too, like the neighbor wife?
That could be just a thing.
Or was that just
it's just
potential?
Layla.
Oh,
so she's not.
But
because then she's also like, I'm closer than you
Ellen?
think, and
Layla's also Ellen.
I don't think that both of those things can be true.
Okay.
I think
was like,
two
whoa, she's
possible.
busy.
Yeah.
If she's a witch, it's not that hard.
I can imagine. Yeah, when you're a witch,
you can
be
do
that
all
hard.
sorts.
Right.
Yeah,
there was
so
a
those
funny
are
scene
2.
with the witch in Bad Omens this week. Or Good Omens,
Yeah.
Bad Omens.
Bad Omens.
To change the
That's
title.
different.
That's a totally different show.
That's interesting. So something that you said made me think of the fact. So if she is not schizophrenic, well, I guess that doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to think. She says that she made a deal with Ellen. When would that conversation have happened between them? After Layla had already disappeared, or before?
It was. See, I guess what would be.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think what that would, because if she is let's say she's a skits, and so she makes that deal with Ellen, her other personality, that would have been like Layla, is running away from everything because of what happened. She's scared of Finn, blah, blah, blah. But there's still the part of her that wants to be with him, which is Ellen, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so Layla's like, well, I can't do that. So if you can, if you think that you can make that work and, make us work with him, then I'll leave and you can have our life.
But then how does Finn not recognize that she's also Layla?
Because she's just that good of a skits. I don't know.
Yeah, Ellen doesn't she have a completely different body style?
Yeah,
See, that's one of the main holes in my opinion in the skits idea.
But that's where
But
the
it
magic
could fit with the
might
neighbor
Right, yeah.
and the magic.
Supernatural.
But it could make her fit the neighbor, she could still be skits, but or at least maybe not being the neighbor doesn't make her skits, but that's how she knows what's going on with with his life.
For me, the neighbor thing is that I guess that doesn't really fully work. The husband is the one that's controlling things. So he's the one who's coming to the door and opening it and saying, no, you can't see my wife, because the wife is Ellen and he's kidnapped her. And for some reason they live really close to So that was my thought with the neighbor thing. But then I thought maybe he's also just under her spell,
Right.
quote unquote. I don't know. We've got a lot of ideas running around.
How do y'all feel about the writing? Like, do you feel like it picked up? Like, you're satisfied now?
I feel like it picked up.
Yeah, not as basic.
Yeah, I think maybe like sort of like just like structurally, it was relatively similar. I don't think that there was like suddenly like an increase in reading level.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was just more enjoyable.
Yeah.
There's because everything's happening.
There's more activity.
You know?
Yeah.
We're past the setup.
Yeah.
We're in the action.
So I think, so I agree. I don't think that it's still very simple, the writing, but there's just more going on right now. So I'm focused less on that.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the writing is still pretty simple. But I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it.
Good.
I'm ready to finish it off. It's only like 30
Oh, yeah,
pages.
we'll knock it out.
Yeah, so I have to read it very strategically since I'm about to move to Austin. I don't want to finish the book and then have to drive back to San Marcos to drop it off. So I guess I have to read it tonight so I can take it back to the library. Well, I guess I don't really have to be strategic. I just have to read it tonight and remember it.
Yeah.
Right.
If y'all decide to bring me back.
We did get a titular line somewhere in one of Layla's chapters where she says, "Bring me back." And I think that was just another piece of maybe her being, the crazy skits is because she is giving Finn, or she's hoping that Finn will be able to bring her back or whatever. Because she has like moments of sanity where then the voice makes her do crazy things or whatever.
And she tries to fight the voice.
Yeah. And the part where she says "bring me back" was in one of her moments of like lucidity and was like I'm crazy and I need to stop. If you are able to do this, then you'll bring me back from the insanity or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we did get a titular line.
Yeah, I keep thinking I'm just stuck on that track. So I keep thinking that "bring me back" is like from some sort of supernatural world. She's half existing.
I like the idea that they have to go to Lewis, where
that could
go
be
back to the
interesting.
beginning, just like in the Digimon movie.
Right. Well, or maybe that's what Finn has to do now to kind of piece everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has
to find where they are.
Right. But that maybe he starts there.
Right.
Because he doesn't know where else to go.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if we'll find out anything about Thomas. We have kind of been left hanging with Tony, the cop. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
He said he would.
Seems to be totally pointless.
Well, yeah. Right now it does. So he said he would start searching.
Well, it's been 48 hours, probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been more than that because he gave him the 10-day ultimatum, and
That's
he's
given up.
It's been like a week.
They
and a
give up
half.
after the first 48. So.
Oh, dude.
Well, for a missing persons report, but this is
Well,
a missing
everything.
persons report.
All police.
Plus,
cases
I think all
are
bets
given
are. I think all bets are off in the UK. I think they
No,
followed
I'm
the
just messing
rules.
around. Yeah.
There is no statute of
No
limitations
statute
in
of
the UK.
limitations.
You can get hung for something your ancestors did.
Yeah.
Not me though. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but you have red hair, so.
Yeah, I'd just be like, we'll go back to Scotland.
Just like Siobhan.
You're just like Siobhan.
Siobhan's
you
not
Siobhan?
Scottish, is she?
She's Irish.
Yeah, so I
She's Irish.
couldn't be just like her.
But
I just said Scotland.
Siobhan is Layla.
Who's
Remember,
also
they're all the
Ellen.
same person. What if
Who's
they're
Fiona?
also Finn?
Oh, that's something we haven't
Ew.
explored.
What if everybody
That's so weird.
is the same? It's like a singularity. But no, what if that would be something really interesting if everything was being made up
By him.
in his mind or in someone's mind?
Right. Yeah, that's not something that I had thought
That's
about.
why the police haven't really given much of.
They haven't found anybody because there's no one there.
Because there's just the one.
Or maybe-
They have pictures of Layla.
Also, it seems, well, if he's crazy, then he can make up whatever he
Yeah,
wants.
exactly. You could just
But
find
also,
a picture
that
of a red-haired
seems
girl
like
online.
that's kind of easy. That's like and it was all a dream kind of
Right, yeah.
outcome. So I feel like it wouldn't be
This was just like a
Right.
delusion of whenever he was in that depression state.
right.
Like, what if Ellen never existed? Layla is dead. maybe he killed her, and then he's just like,
In
revisioned his
crazy town.
entire life and is, in that depression state in the cottage. And the cottage is as dusty as it always was because he hasn't done anything for 10 years. He's just a crazy person walking around a dusty house.
Gave me goosebumps. But that's, I don't know. That's a thing. And that would certainly be surprising. But like I said, I feel like that's
it'd be a little
pretty
unsatisfying.
easy. Yeah.
I'd be a little, aside from having come up with the idea, I would be kind of like, okay.
But we don't, I mean, we could be dissatisfied with the ending of the book. We don't know yet.
That's very true. They've only got 40 pages about including the epilogue.
You keep knocking down the page count. We started with like 50 and now we're down to
No, it's
40.
35.
It's 35 pages?
It's 35 pages of the last chapter. And then the epilogue was like 3 pages.
So why did I hear 50?
I don't know.
I heard 50 as well.
I think Will is Layla. Or is he Ben?
No.
Well, if only there was some way we
I have
could
it
go
recorded.
back
We can
and check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he said. So the Russian doll thing was interesting this time. Smashed
It's a
the
lot
head
creepier.
in. Yeah, it's way creepier.
Right.
Because she
She's
smashed
getting
one of them
intense.
in.
Right,
And then
yeah.
just
She
thinking about
smashed
her
2 of
ripping them all
2 of
open
them.
just to get down, and then I feel like there was a scene of her like cuddling with all the little like.
Yeah, they're
I
hanging
mean, it's
out.
super
Or-
creepy in my head. It's all black and white except for the dolls, the little.
Are they in
the small,
color?
Yeah, they were in color.
I like that. That's
I don't
a
know
good
why.
idea.
It was super weird in my head. I was getting into it.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's definitely everything with Layla is super creepy at this point.
She's kind of creepy.
She's an absolute insane person. Even if she's not, schizophrenic, like I've been saying, she's crazy.
But she is also beautiful, they say, so. Right? Didn't he say
She's
that?
a vixen. So
A
do you
vixen?
think that Ruby is going to be the one who winds up helping Finn sort everything out?
Oh, maybe.
You think Ruby is Layla? I mean,
Everybody has
Red,
Layla.
ruby
We are all
red.
Layla.
Layla has red hair.
Rudolph has a red nose.
What if
Oh my
Layla-
god, she knew the whole time. She is the good actress. She knew. Because she was the one
what
sending the
if because
emails.
of the magic, the angle,
Mhm.
the Layla is Peggy.
Oh, that would be cute.
Oh, because of the hair.
Because of
Yeah.
the hair.
That's why she's
maybe they-
closer than you think. Literally in the house. The call is coming from inside the house.
Baby's like, bring me back. Always scratching him like, bring me back,
Like
please.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Watching her husband that would be awful.
So that
Watching
would
her
be-
boyfriend fall in love with her sister as she's the dog. That would be so sad. I
That would
hope
be
you're
sad.
wrong.
Well, but that could explain why we're clearly going down all sorts
Yeah,
of
we're just spitting shit out
But
now.
Peggy having that connection to Ellen, I
Right.
don't know. And I was saying
It could work. I think it's a weak idea, but
it's
it
also
could
a
work.
weak idea. But I was thinking about, during part 1, what was the point of the dog being included in this? And all I could come up with was that
Some sort of
she was
humanized
trying to
Finn.
humanize Finn, which I
Right.
still think is probably the case. But what if Peggy does have a more prominent role in this whole story than what we've originally thought? I don't know.
Right.
Again, we're going down a couple different rabbit holes, but that's why I like this genre, is because
Yeah, it could do anything.
it can go so many different ways, and it's exciting when you read a book like that and you have it all sorted out in your mind. You know how it's going to end, and you're already annoyed because you figured out the ending, but then that's not what happens.
Mhm.
I love it when you read a book that effectively does that. It's also really frustrating when you read a book where they're trying to do that and they're unsuccessful at it.
Yeah.
And you're like, yep, that's what I knew was going to happen.
Right. Or if it's something unexpected that you couldn't have thought, and then it's just bad.
Or it's too hard they had to make such a leap to get to that. Yeah,
Right.
that's...
Which I'm mildly afraid might happen here, because like we said, we've only got 65 pages.
I thought you were going to say 20. I was like, 20.
So it's a very short period of time for
Right.
us to really get a whole lot done.
Mhm.
And so I'm just kind of worried that maybe it just has to get wrapped up real fucking quick.
I am too. That's why I was disappointed when you knocked the page count down twice.
It's It's like 37 pages, I promise.
So who's going to be talking in the epilogue? Tony?
I
The author?
assume I
It'll be a
know
letter.
because the title of the epilogue gives it away.
Oh, okay.
And I won't say that it's
Well, don't
just
share
because I've
that.
like ruined it for myself by having just seen it.
Yeah.
Which is really strange because everything else has been part 1, part 2,
One,
part
two.
3, and then this is epilogue.
But the chapters are telling of
names
what's
or
happening, so
yeah,
I
like
guess
past,
that's what it is.
now, you know, whatever.
Well then, yeah,
Um,
don't spoil it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it for y'all.
Jordy, who do you think is going to be talking in the epilogue?
I think it'll be like a letter.
Yeah,
But,
from to what you thinking? Don't look at Will.
Yeah, look at Layla.
You think it's gonna be Layla?
Yeah, I think
I'll
it'll
give
be
you a
Layla.
hint.
No.
They're from the United Kingdom.
Oh.
Oh,
He
from
gave it away. That was it.
Well,
That was
he
her.
said that, and I thought of the government. I was like, oh, then it's Tony.
No, they're from the Home Office,
Who do
yeah.
you think it is in the epilogue?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think
Paris.
I
or
think
whatever?
it's from Ellen. I think she wrapped everything.
We've got to get an Ellen perspective at some point.
Right. So that's where I'm thinking maybe it's the epilogue.
I only have 2 voice actors. Thank you very much. So
Well,
sure.
guess what? One of the characters is actually several characters, so they only need 2 voice
They only need
actors.
2 voices.
that's true.
They really only need one.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like we said, this is a singularity situation where everybody is one.
This is all Thomas.
We are Legion.
And Thomas is having this wild fantasy.
Oh, he's in dementia fantasy. Yeah.
Isn't Thomas
He was the old-
Voldemort's first name?
Yes.
Thomas Riddle.
Well, if he's Thomas.
Riddle.
Well, Tom.
Was it short for Thomas or was it not just Tom?
It was just Tom because it was Tom Marfollow Riddle, and then they could flip the letters around to
Yeah.
make it I am Lord Voldemort.
Right.
But she never says that specifically. So Tom could be a nickname, which would make Voldemort's name even funnier because it's not even Voldemortus.
Voldemortus. I thought maybe it was just gonna be I am Lord Voldemort as.
No, well, there's also an H, so it would be
Yeah.
I am Lord Voldemort's.
Unless his full name is Tomas.
Yeah,
And then it
that's
doesn't
true.
have the H.
He is from the UK, so
We'll see.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I love Harry Potter so much because I said the name Voldemort, and then part of me was like,
I can't say that.
because I spent so many years like
Right, you're so bought into
building
it.
that and drilling that into my mind. So just to casually drop that
Throw it
name,
out there, drop it.
it.
The V-bomb.
I never had a problem
Well,
saying it
we
was because I'm just as brave
Well,
as
you're a
Harry.
Slytherin. No, you're evil.
I'm
That's
a
why.
Ravenclaw, actually.
You're more evil than a Ravenclaw.
Maybe.
I'm just saying.
Maybe I could have gone both ways, like Harry.
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
pretty sure you're a Slytherin.
He's like, I'm gonna put you in Slytherin. You're like, I'm too smart for that. And then he's like, all right.
You outsmarted me.
You are smart.
You are smart.
But black hair equals Slytherin.
Except for Draco.
And Harry.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, Harry. Oh,
We don't know what color.
She's a Slytherin. All right.
Cha-ching's a Ravenclaw.
On the inside, though, remember how rude she was to Cedric and Harry?
Mm-hmm.
Slytherin.
She just outfoxed the sorting.
The hat, yeah, he was like Slytherin, and she was like,
So
I'm
all
a little
Ravenclaws
too
are supposed to be
smart.
Slytherins, but
Yeah.
they
Well,
outsmart
some of
the
them.
hat and get
Well,
Ravenclaw.
sometimes it'll be like Hufflepuff, and he's like, I'm a little smart for Hufflepuff, and he's like, all right, Ravenclaw. You know, he just lets it. If you say I'm a little too smart to be brave, you know, and then he's like, well, all right, Gryffindor, my bad, it's not right. Like Hermione was like, I guess I'll be brave instead of smart,
Yeah.
because she should have been Ravenclaw. This is not a Harry Potter.
Well, she had a destiny
She said-
to be
Yeah.
in this, trio of heroes.
But also, she said that the Sorting Hat considered putting her in Ravenclaw. So that doesn't mean he said, you're going to be in Ravenclaw. And she said,
I'm
no,
too brave for
I'm
that.
too brave for that.
No, I think she aspired to have the attributes that like a Gryffindor would. That's why he put her in Ravenclaw or in Gryffindor over Ravenclaw. Because you're right, he considered it, but
he considered it, but
then he knew, yeah. And she was like, I look at Gryffindor, it's the best one. Because
What?
she said it in the movie. She was like, Gryffindor's the best, or maybe she said it in the book. I think she said it was the
But
best,
she's in love
but
with
she was like,
Ron.
I think I'd be cool with Ravenclaw too. She should have been in
That
love
sounds
with Harry
familiar.
though. She should have probably, in my opinion.
Rowling came out and said so.
Let's have a Harry Potter fan club, friends.
I'm ready to
have.
What if Harry and Ron and Hermione are all the same person?
They're all Layla? Is that what
Yes.
you're
They're all-
suggesting? Or they're all Mick?
They're all Peggy.
Everyone's
They're all Peggy.
Oh,
And Amagus.
Peggy. Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to see how the book wraps up, because how's she going to wrap it up in
15 pages.
16 pages?
It's going to be a wild ride. 16 long pages.
If it's all in emails, the script will be a lot smaller because printed a lot smaller whenever they're doing the email stuff.
That's true. It's weird though that most of, well, maybe this isn't really that significant, but Finn's chapters are usually 3, 4, 5 pages. Layla's are always 1 or 2.
Yeah, they were very
They're
short.
super quick. So
Real
she's
quick.
because I was timing my reading, and I was going to take a break after whatever, and I would get to a Layla chapter. I was like, okay, this would be a good stopping point, and then I'd read a page and be done for a little while. But if I was trying to end on a Finn chapter, I was like, oh, I still have at least 4 pages to read.
Right.
So I noticed it more, but I don't know, maybe that serves to show that Layla is crazy.
Yeah. There was a part where Layla, in retrospective, talking about how she thought it was a great idea to let Ellen see her on the street. So they can't be the same. Well, she's crazy, so...
They can't be. I don't think they're the same person, but I think that. Well,
There's a lot of holes in it. It's not the most sound theory.
But I think there is something about the two of them not being able to exist in the same space.
Right.
Because
I think that supernatural angle is a really good call.
it would be so lovely if that was how it looked.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right, it's just, especially if it's well done. So I'm either going to be super stoked next week, or I'm going to be livid.
I feel like this probably can only go one way or the other. I would be... I
It's not
can't
gonna
see
be
it just
squishy.
being... Yeah. It's not going to be like a middle ground or like a medium level of anything. I think it's going to be awesome, or, we're going to be panning it next week.
How new is this book? Is it pretty new?
It's pretty new. I think it's like within the past couple of months.
I was gonna say, has that had time to become a New York Times bestseller, like her other two? Because if not,
Oh no, it's not a bestseller.
she's just a best time selling author.
Oh, okay.
So she
But
sold
it's
2
not
other
just a
books that
book.
were
Gotcha.
best timers. But
Maybe
if it's had
we're-
enough time to be a bestseller, then
We're on the ground floor with it, you think?
yeah, either that or
Oh, it's way older than I thought. It came out in March of last year.
okay. So we're all gonna be super disappointed. It's not gonna be a good ending, guys. Brace yourselves. It didn't make the best time list.
According to Google, 80% like this book.
Yeah, and
80% of people
that
that hit things. Barnes & Noble
y'all hit the
gave it a
buttons.
3.9 out of 5. Goodreads gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right, what did Barnes and Noble again?
3.9 out of 5. But that, I think...
3.9, that's not bad.
I don't think that's an expert review. I think that is the amalgamate reviews on the Barnes & Noble website.
Well,
The Goodreads one is probably the expert review.
What
Well,
is
we'll
it
give it a
gonna be? So-
3.5 out of 5.
Okay. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I
What
guess
if
just
that 20% is of readers are disappointed because they didn't figure out?
According to how many people just
The
clicked
angle
the
that we-
thumbs up button
yeah,
on the
there's a bunch
Google
of people
page.
that were sad that
I'm going to come back and I'm going to give my
Dang
opinion
it, I should have seen it
when
coming.
I'm done.
You are?
I'm going to come back to the Google page and I'm going to check either the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Okay.
We should do that on all the books that we have read.
So boost the ones that you like and downgrade the ones you don't.
Mhm.
So when we come back next week, I think we should all thumbs up, thumbs down, like off the bat, because I want to know what y'all think.
Sounds good. Definitely.
And we can tell everyone if you're doing a thumb up, right?
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I wanted it to be secret, but we can tell everybody.
The secret.
Well, I mean, the thumb up, that she said thumb up. She said thumb up and thumb down, so I thought that we wouldn't have to actually bash anybody online. You know, I thought it would just be for us.
Well, we can.
No, I'm cool with public bashing.
That's all I did for Game of Thrones.
We tweeted at one of the authors last time, and she said, "Thank you for doing my book," and then we said, "Thank you for writing it."
Oh,
it was the best, and she just got 2 lifetime fans, so I'll probably buy everything she ever writes ever.
Good. So
just because she tweeted back at us. So tweet back at us if you want me to buy all your books. I'll literally buy all of your books if you tweeted us. If you follow us and tweet us and you sell books, I'll buy all of them.
But will you read all of them?
Well, I'll get started.
Oh.
And then, who knows, maybe I'll be like, hey, this one was so good, and it'll be on the show. So, do that. I commit to that. Amazon is selling books at cheapos, mosquitoes now. And I can go to the library, so.
Well, you didn't say that you were going to buy them through Amazon. I'm not selling my books via Amazon. Yeah. So you're going to have to buy them from me.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll buy them from you too, whatever. I can Venmo or Cash App or whatever.
We can make this work then.
Yeah, also, I can use Bitcoin. I just bought some Bitcoin, so. Do you take Bitcoin? Okay, but for next week it's just the 3rd section and
the epilogue.
Yeah, an epilogue.
And finish it.
So we're not going to do the epilogue as a 4th.
The 2-page podcast.
I feel like we could talk about that for.
We could
depending on how it goes.
We're all just so fun. We can talk about anything forever.
It's relatively true.
Relatively true.
Yeah.
Relatively?
I'm giving that a thumbs down.
Yeah, not relatively. It's ultimately true.
Okay. That's still a weird way to...
Yeah, no, I couldn't figure out a better way to say it.
It is so true.
Oh, there you go.
Right, that works.
Okay. Well,
anyways.
Y'all know how to find us at ears_stamps, dog ears and timestamps at gmail.com. I will buy all your books, so follow us. I promise. So I do it for real, and because then I'll know you're listening and you stayed to the end. And Caitlin, do you have anything you want to plug for your dad or anything, like library people? I don't know.
Nope.
You? All right. Well, we'll have Caitlin back next week, and
spoiler alert.
Well, hopefully we'll have Caitlin back next week. I don't know. She's busy. She's moving.
Maybe I will.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
That's true.
I got in a wreck the other day. You might not have had me back that week, so luckily
Jeez.
we're good. Yeah, I know you're all morbid at the end, but thanks for listening, and I'm excited for next week.
I am too. I'm excited. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
I'm Will Hedrick.
I'm Jordan Schaffer.
This is Doggers and Timestamps. Go Bruins.
Are they still on?
Barely.
Dude, it's at the end.